In the previous class, we have started the chapter number 6, basic concepts of object-oriented programming. Okay, in that we have completed the first part, that is OOP stands for object-oriented programming. Then you have learned OOP is a programming model that represents concepts as objects. Then we studied the main idea behind the OOP, that is the ideology here is to unite both data and functions that operate on that data into a single unit called as object. Then we define one more definition, that is object is an entity with some characteristics and behavior. Then we have studied one more important concept of OOP, that is class. Class is nothing but a blueprint that specifies what data and what functions should be included in the objects of that class. Right? After that, we have started with the major characteristics of OOP. In that, we have made a list of that. First one is object, second one is classes. Then next one is data abstraction, data encapsulation, inheritance, overloading, polymorphism, dynamic binding, and last one, message passing. These are the major characteristics of OOPs. Then in this, we have completed object. Objects are nothing but the basic building blocks for designing programs that we have studied in detail. Even if we have taken an example of a student, the student is an object, then the related to that, the data members may be the name of the student and roll numbers, and the member functions may be get data and display. Then we have studied classes. A class is a way of grouping objects having similar characteristics. One more definition we have defined, right? Then at the end we have defined once again with one more definition, that is classes are user-defined data types. Then we check here that classes are nothing but the combination of functions and data members. After that, we have studied data abstraction. It permits the user to use an object without knowing its internal working. That we have studied, right? After that, we have completed data encapsulation, right? Again, this also combines data and functions into a single unit called as class, and it prevents direct access to data. It means it provides data security. Then we have completed inheritance, that is a mechanism by which one class acquires or gets the properties of another class is called as inheritance. In this, again, we have two definitions we have learned. One is called base class and second one is called derived class. The existence class is called as base class and the new class is called as derived class. Then we have started overloading. The overloading means it allows objects to have different meanings depending upon the context. And that was completed operator overloading and function overloading. This much we have completed in the previous class. In today's class, we will continue with the characteristics of OOPs, that is next characteristics, polymorphism. Polymorphism. The ability for a message or a function or data to be processed in more than one form. Polymorphism means it is an ability for a function or data to be processed in more than one form. That ability we are calling as polymorphism. The ability of an operator and function to take multiple forms is known as polymorphism. Poly means many, morphism means forms. Data, behaviors or functions in more than one form, or an operator may function in more than one form, depends on the context. Right? The ability of an operator or a function to take multiple forms is known as polymorphism. Example, if you consider the addition of two numbers, if you take any two numbers, then we are getting one more number as a result. If I take example of 2 plus 2, then I'll get one more integer number 4 as a result. That is sum of first two given numbers. And in case of addition of two strings, that results in a string concatenation. Clear? If I want to add Kalburgi plus Bengaluru, in string concatenation it becomes Kalburgi Bengaluru. Clear? We are not getting any new string here. String combining. That's why I am saying that it is a string concatenation. Even though we are performing addition operation with a number differs with a string. They are doing the same operation addition. That's why I said that the operator and a function to take multiple forms is known as polymorphism. It is an ability of an operator or a function. It takes multiple forms is known as polymorphism. Then the next one is called dynamic binding. What do we know? All know that binding means it is a combining. If you take an example of a book binding, what we will do? The pages are combined there and made as a, if you take a number of pages and bind them, that becomes one book. That is a binding. Whereas in this situation, the binding means, in CS, the binding means it is a process of connecting one program to another program. What is binding? According to object-oriented programming, binding is nothing but it is a process of connecting one program to another program. That we call it as binding. Then what is dynamic binding? How do we know that? We are familiar in the first year also. The term dynamic. Dynamic means it is a runtime process or during execution itself. Then if you combine these two terms together, dynamic binding, the dynamic binding means the code associated with a procedure call is known only at the time of program execution. I'll repeat. Dynamic binding means the code associated with a procedure call is known only at the time of program execution. If you take an example of one C++ program, normally we start our C++ program with the preprocessor directive file, that is we are using with a hash include, example iostream.h. If write the first line as hash include in angular bracket iostream.h. We are writing another file. I written one include statement here. There is nothing but a preprocessor directives. Then what happens if I write that line in that particular program? Normally all the programs are writing this in C++ program. Then when that particular instruction is going to execute, the iostream.h is a header file in our C++ software that has a code of around 300 to 500 lines code in that, right? The number of lines in the codes are more in that, but when I write it as into iostream.h file in my program, during execution, first it executes iostream.h file, then it executes my actual file. It means during execution, that iostream.h file is combined with my program. It means during execution, it is going to execute. It's a dynamic process. Is it clear? So dynamic binding means code associated with the procedure code is known only at the time of program execution, during runtime only. That we call it as dynamic binding. The iostream.h combines with my particular program during execution, that we can call it as a dynamic binding. Next, and the last one, the ninth characteristics of who is a message passing. Message passing. In object-oriented programming, processing is done by sending messages to objects. In object-oriented programming, if you want to process the things, then you should send a message to the object to process this. That we are writing it as processing is done by sending messages to objects. Then what is a message? A message for an object is a request for execution of procedure. A message for an object is a request for execution of procedure here. To execute that, we are following procedure here, right? Then the request will involve a function in the receiving object that generates desired results. Does that? A message is nothing but a request for execution of a procedure. The request will contain a function in the receiving object that generates desired results. Then a message passing involves specifying the name of the object, the name of the function, and the information to be sent. You are all familiar with sending messages here by using mobiles, right? In WhatsApp also, you send a message. Sender will post some text in a WhatsApp. Then first what we need? A message which involves specifying the name of the object to whom I am to send. That can be first. Then, what was the information to be sent? What was the text to be sent to that particular person? Right? So this is nothing but message passing. Or else, suppose if you are absent on fine day for a college, then you may request, at the end of the day, you may request to your friend. Request ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಫ್ರೆಂಡಿಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇವತ್ತು ಕ್ಲಾಸಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀಯಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡು ಅಥವಾ topics ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಆ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಹೇಳಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡೆ I can cover it home. ಅಬ್ಸೆಂಟ್ ಆದರೆ ನಾವೇನ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಫ್ರೆಂಡಿಗೆ ಏನಾದರೂ ನೀವು ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಬ್ಬ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಸೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಎ ಮೆಸೇಜ್. ಏನಂತ? ಯು ಆರ್ ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಯುವರ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ to send the details of the class, today's classes, because I was absent from college. Correct? This is message passing. Through message passing, the process can be done in object-oriented programming. ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು process ಆಗಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇಂದ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಗೆ ಮೆಸೇಜ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Through message passing, the processes can be done in object-oriented programming. So this completes the major characteristics of object-oriented programming. Clear? So here should have covered objects are over, then classes, data abstraction, data encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, overloading, dynamic binding, and message passing. These are all the major characteristics of OOPs. On this, definitely you get at least one question in the exams. Either that may give you 2 marks, or sometimes full 5 marks. Okay. After the characteristics of OOPs, now we move on to the next thing called the advantages of OOPs. Advantages of OOPs we can. What are the advantages of OOPs? For exam point of view also, the advantages of OOPs also important. Many times they ask this question for 5 marks. So first advantage, the programs are modularized based on the principle of classes and objects. Programs are modularized based on the principle of classes and objects. It means in the second year syllabus, we will write the C++ program with the classes and objects. We are not writing the simple program like in first year. In second year, C++ program, every program contains the classes and objects. It means the program is modularized, divided. The program is divided into number of subprograms. Right? It's not a simple one. The program is divided into different models. Through models, we are writing the programs, and we are solving the problem with the help of modularized program. That can be done based on the principles of classes and objects. All programs allo objective classes bande baratta. Without that, they are not doing any single program in second year. First year, objective classes fit for the simple program, but in second year, advanced stage. This is first advantage. The programs are modularized. Then the second one, it reduces code duplication and code reusability. OOPs reduces code duplication and code reusability. It means linking code and object allows related objects to share common code. It reduces code duplication. Highlight first now. Code duplication reduce ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ? Say we have written a program by using one class. That class contains the data members and member functions consent of one object area. ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ನೀವು ಡಿಫೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ. Then if you want to access the same objects informations number of times in a program, then no need to redefine the classes in number of places in a single program. ಒಂದು ಸಲ ನೀವು ಆ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ನ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೆದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು, ನೀವು ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲೇ ಇರಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಆ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಕಂಟೆಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಕೋಡ್ ಡುಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ನ ಅವಾಯ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. Is it clear? ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದೇನು, it reduces code duplication and code reusability. Repetitive code ಅನ್ನ ಅವಾಯ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ by using classes. When the class is defined, that can be accessed any number of times. Then the next advantage, creation and implementation of OOP code is easy and reduces software development time. ನೋಡಿ ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, creation and implementation of OOP code is easy. First part ನೋಡೋಣ. Object oriented programming code create ಮಾಡೋದು ಬಹಳ ಈಸಿ. Because already class ಇರುತ್ತೆ, class ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತ ಡೇಟಾ ಮೆಂಬರ್ ನ ಮೆಂಬರ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಇಂದ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗೋದಿದೆ. It's easy. Once you learn that how to use it, implementation of OOP code is also easy. ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕು ಈಸಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ನಿಂಗೆ ಬರೀಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಕೂಡ ಈಸಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ನ creation and implementation of OOP code is easier. So easy advantage is ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. The advantage is it reduces software development time. Create ಮಾಡೋದು ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಈಸಿ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ, ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಓರಿಯೆಂಟೆಡ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೋಡ್ ಅನ್ನು ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಈಸಿ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಟೈಮು ಕಡಿಮೆ ತಗೋಬಹುದು. ಕಡಿಮೆ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕೋಡಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. That is the advantage of object oriented programming. Creation and implementation of OOP code is easy. Then next, the external non-member function cannot access or modify data, thus providing data security. Already in polymorphism you learn. Correct? Notice, when the class is defined, directly we cannot access the members of the class. It prevents the direct access of the members of the class. The objects cannot be accessed directly. Then other artha, we are giving security for that. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ here ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ, the external non-member function cannot access or modify data, thus providing data security. Andre class, we know the class. Class ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ, class is a combination of data members and member functions into a single unit called as class. It will learn. There is a combination there. Then ಆ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವೇನು ಮೆಂಬರ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಬರೆದಿದ್ದೇವೆ using that member function, you can access the members, data members of the class. Correct? A class alle yav functions idava ಆ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಡೇಟಾ ಮೆಂಬರ್ ನ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಇನ್ನು ಸರ್ ಆ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ಆ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಇದೆ ಹೊರಗಡೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು can I access the data members of the class? No. The answer is no. You cannot access the members of a class by using external non-member function. ಆ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಮೆಂಬರ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಇರುವಂತ ಮೆಂಬರ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತ ಡೇಟಾ ಮೆಂಬರ್ ನ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಮಾಡಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಬರಲ್ಲ. ಇದೆಲ್ಲದರ ಅರ್ಥ ಏನಾಯ್ತು? ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಓರಿಯೆಂಟೆಡ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ಸ್ ಡೇಟಾ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ. Then next, easier to develop complex softwares because complexity can be minimized through inheritance. Because complexity can be minimized through inheritance. Difficult ಇರುವಂತ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್ ಇರುವಂತ ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರ್ ನ ಈಸಿಯಾಗಿ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. How? Because of one of the special characteristics of object-oriented programming called as inheritance. Inheritance characteristics na use ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ complex software can be easily developed. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆನಾ? ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಏನೈತಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ? How ಅಂದಾಗ by using through inheritance we can easily develop the complex softwares. The advantage of OOP is easy to develop complex softwares. Easy to develop complex softwares. The last advantage, object-oriented programming can communicate through message passing, which makes interface description with outside system very simple. So, object-oriented programming can communicate through message passing. In the today's class, we have learned the 9th characteristics of loop, that is message passing. Right? The process can be done through passing the message to the objects. Object-oriented programming process can be done just by passing a message to the objects in the container. That is the advantage of loops. Loop can communicate through message passing, which makes interface description with outside system very simple. And ಹೊರಗಡೆ system ಏನು ಕಾಣುತ್ತೆ easy ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. The interface is easy interface ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ರೈಟಾ? So these are all the advantages of OOP. That is, first one module advantage, the programs are modularized. Second advantage, it reduces code duplication and code reusability. Third advantage, creation and implementation of OOP code is easy. And fourth advantage, it provides data security. And fifth advantage, easy to develop complex softwares. And last advantage, sixth one, it communicates through message passing. These are the advantages of OOPS. It means in the today's class we have learned the polymorphism. Polymorphism means the ability for a message or data to be processed in more than one form. For example, we have taken, right? The addition of two numbers is different comparing to addition of two strings. Addition of two numbers generates the sum of that two numbers as a result, whereas the addition of two strings will result into a string concatenation. Then we have studied dynamic binding. The dynamic binding means the code associated with a procedure call is known only at the time of program execution. In this, we have checked the example of one header file, that is iostring.h. Then we have completed the message passing. The processing is done by sending message to object in object-oriented programming. Then what is a message? Message is nothing but a request we are sending to the object to complete that particular task. Then the message passing contains name of the object, name of the function, that is the message, and the information to be sent. So after this, we have started with the advantages of OOPS. That is, programs are modularized, reduces code duplication and code reusability. Creation and implementation of code is easy. It provides data security and easy to develop complex software, and who communicates through message passing. Correct? So, if you find still some difficulty concerned to that today's class, just you can post your doubts in the webinar forum. I will answer for that, right? And in the next class, we'll study about the disadvantages of OOPS, then the applications of OOPS, and lastly, the difference between procedure-oriented programming and object-oriented programming. These are the three topics or three headings we'll complete in the next class. That is tomorrow's class. Right? So, thank you one and all. Stay home, stay safe.